Hello everybody, I just got done mowing my yard, so you know what that means. Leaf blower time. I haven't tried to start it yet. What I want to do first off is say thank you to everyone who's been following along. I've made 3 or so videos on this so far, and I have got some great suggestions, and I want to try all of them until I get this leaf blower running the way it should run. So what I did is I went and I made a list of all of your suggestions, and I left a few blank spots down here for any new ones that might come in, but you know, I've got some great suggestions here, and a couple of them I've already marked off the list. One of them was clean and replace the plug. I put a brand new plug in it. Start with only 1 or 2 pumps. I tried that. Someone suggested pumping the bulb more than 6 times, getting more gas in there. So a lot of good things. What I'm going to do today is I had a suggestion to make sure I set the gap properly on the spark plug. Now, if you don't know what the gap is, let me pull the spark plug out real quick and I'll show you. I've got my spark plug pulled out, and you'll notice this little contact here and then this armature that comes over the top. I got on Bolin's website and they recommended for this particular model a .025 gap. I got out my spark plug gapping tool, and let me find 0.25. There it is right there. And as I stick it through between the two, it is just perfect. I mean, there's just very little resistance. So I feel like I've got a .025 gap. So that's a plus. We're going to go ahead and reinstall this in the blower. I've gone ahead and marked gapping the spark plug off my list because now I feel that I have a .025 gap, which is the manufacturer recommended gap for that plug. But I didn't install the plug back in the blower. I held off because someone else told me to remove the plug, leaving the plug wire attached, yank the cord, and look for a spark between the little contact and the armature that goes over the top. Make sure I'm getting a good spark, because without a spark, it's not going to ignite the fuel in the carburetor. So we're going to test that real quick. It is daylight out, so I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see a spark, but right here is what we're looking for. There should be a little spark between there when I pull this. You know what? Something just occurred to me. I can pull this all day long and I'm not going to get a spark unless it's grounded. It needs to be touching the metal of the motor. Okay. I'm not sure if you're able to see that, but when it's touching the metal around here where the spark plug screws in, there is a tiny spark that appears between the contact and the armature. So I feel like I'm getting spark. I'm going to go ahead now and get this plug reinstalled back into the blower. Okay, so we've gapped the plug, we've checked for a spark, it looks good. The next thing I want to do is I was told to prime the blower and then pull the plug and see if the bottom of the plug is damp with gasoline to let me know that gasoline is making it to the plug. That's what we need to happen so that the spark can ignite the fuel. So I'm going to go ahead and prime it 6 times like it says in the manufacturer's. Oh, speaking of that, I also downloaded a FAQ sheet on this particular blower, and it has the specific instructions here for starting this mower. And it says basically set the unit on a flat surface. It is. Move the on-off switch to the on position. I've done that. Slowly prime the bulb 6 times. Okay, let me point you down at the blower and we'll do this. Okay, I'm on a flat surface. I've got the switch set to on, which has to be start. I'm going to prime the blower 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's just a little gasoline bulb on the side I'm pressing. Move the start lever to the start position. Okay, it is in the start position. Pull the starter rope handle sharply until the engine starts and runs. Allow it to run for 10 to 15 seconds. So we're going to pull it sharply and see if it runs. I'll attempt to leave it on the ground like they recommend in the instructions. Actually, first thing I want to do is we're going to pull the plug per the suggestion we got and see if we're getting any fuel to the plug. Then we'll pull the handle and see if we can start it. I'm not seeing any fuel on the plug. Now, I saw something in the paperwork that said there should be no fuel on the plug. If there is fuel on the plug, then it's flooded. So I kind of have conflicting stories here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, per the manufacturer's notes, I'm going to assume that there should be no fuel on the plug, and there is not after priming. So I have not flooded the engine. Let's go ahead and we'll tighten it down, snug it up, pop the plug wire on. We're in a start position. Let's pull sharply on the blower. Okay, we didn't have much luck. I'm confident we'll get it started. It's just going to take quite a few more pulls. To recap, we have replaced the plug. We tried starting with 1 or 2 pumps. We've verified that we have the proper spark plug gap. We've removed the plug and left the wire attached and verified we do have a spark, so the ignition is going to ignite the fuel. We primed the blower, removed the plug. There was no gasoline on the plug. This person said it should have gas on it. The manual that I downloaded said it should not. I'm going to default to the manual. Sorry about that. And the last thing I did is I primed the engine with the new plug and attempted to follow the manufacturer's instructions for starting it. None of this worked. Next up, I'm going to get some seafoam and some non-ethanol based gas. Now, reading the manufacturer's instructions, it can take up to 10% ethanol in the gasoline. I know the gas I have contains ethanol, but I do not know the percentage. It could be 15% for all I know. I have about 2 tanks of gas left in my gas tank. I don't want to just dispose of it and throw it away. It's working great in the weed eater, so I'm going to go ahead and burn the rest of my gas up, and then I'm going to fill my tank with some non-ethanol gas. Now, I don't know if I'll get some marine grade gas, which is very low to no ethanol, or whether I'll go to Home Depot and pick up some of the gasoline that they sell that is no ethanol whatsoever. One of the two will happen, and I'll pick up another little container of the 40-to-1 mixture, and we'll put that in with the gasoline as well as just a tiny bit of seafoam. I recommended to mix the seafoam 1 to 4, and then that, you know, we'll figure all that out when the time comes. But the seafoam, the idea behind that is it will clean the injector, you know, where the fuel goes into the carburetor, and it'll also kind of stabilize the gas a little bit. The concern is that varnishing, when you leave this gasoline in this blower, it evaporates and it leaves behind the oil and any other residue, and it forms like a varnish, and the seafoam will help clean that out. So that's where we stand. I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to give it a few more pulls, I'm going to get it started, and then I'm going to finish up my job. So I'll go ahead and film the starting. We'll get it. It may take a bit, but we'll get it. In closing, I'd like to thank everybody for watching these videos and for trying to help me out with getting my leaf blower going again. What you see in front of you is the list of suggestions you guys have made, and you can see the ones I've marked off are the ones that we've already tried. We're going to keep trying until we find one that works, and if anybody has any other suggestions, I would absolutely love to hear them. Thank you, and have a great evening.